Hello, 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 and welcome to another new episode of Radio Amenti. Oh my gosh, tomorrow is December 1st, and I can't even believe the fact that this insane fever dream of a year is almost over. That's not to say that when the clock strikes midnight on January 1st that all of our problems will magically disappear once it turns 2021. But there's something to say about something to be said about the ritual of the time change and all of the potential and hopes and new dreams that exist within a new template of reality that just comes from a shifting of number. I mean, time is a great illusion and an ever-present one, but 2020 has been it's been a year, that's for sure. So I look forward to kind of the reset and what dreams may come and what, not to say that it's not going to get weirder or stranger or maybe even more fucked up, but at least we can say that we completed the year of Tiger King, murder hornets, UFOs at the Pentagon, and COVID, quarantine, social injustice, conspirituality. I mean, this year has been just a crazy time, hasn't it? But, it's not all bad. Some of the life lessons that have come through this year have been so invaluable. And, I've been thinking a lot about the Tao Te Ching and this reconciliation of paradox and the idea that the emptiness is what is most useful. So in that emptiness, there's space for new awareness and new understanding. And the collective void that we've been thrown into this year, at the very least, I hope has helped us offer perspective of what's important. And what is important? Love, friendship, community, family. And family is not limited to family bound by blood. Family is the family that you choose as well. Yeah, I mean, it's the perspective that's come from this year could have never come from anything other than this year. So if one thing we can all maybe take away from 2020 is just to appreciate everything a little bit more, because nothing is guaranteed. Everything is only borrowed, and it's probably only going to get weirder. So what can you do? You just can kind of like buckle up and go along for the ride and make sure that you have really great people by your side. And it just makes all of the uncertainty and the emptiness a little less scary. So I'm really excited to share this conversation today with my good friend, Ramin Nazer. I just love Ramin. I know that you will too. You most certainly will recognize his artwork. It's viral on the interwebs, and it's these beautiful drawings, brilliant rainbows, like interdimensional, psychedelic, little time portals that tickle the heart and make you feel real good when you look at them. And Ramin's also like really funny. He's just fucking great. So I actually met Ramin 2 years ago when I asked him to be a panelist at Whitma, which is an event series that I used to be a partner in. He, our friends Michael Phillip, Colin Francescetto, Trisha Eastman, Zach Leary, and Brandy Sabella all were on a panel about integrating the psychedelic experience, which was an incredible panel. That event was probably by far the best one I've ever produced, curated, been a part of. And that week was really magical. I got to see Ramin do stand-up comedy with Shane Mouse. We got to all hang out and have really, really great life conversations and laughs. It was really special and just kind of a glimpse into what true community and friends and people that are on the same wavelength as you, like what it feels like to all be in a room together and to speak the same language and share similar ideas and just laugh at the absurdity of the world and how funny it is to just be a human being trying to figure out what that even means. So yeah, Ramin rules. This conversation is great. It's kind of like a Seinfeld episode, to be honest, because um, while I mean, I hope you catch a lot of the references. There's a lot of pop culture references talking about like the OA, David Bowie, Prince. I mean, I hope you know who David Bowie and Prince are. if you don't know what the OA is, it's Netflix canceled it after 2 seasons, and it was actually like one of my favorite shows of all time. But we also, like, just a trigger warning, like the beginning of this episode starts out a little spicy, talking about conspiracy theories, and Ramin sings some interesting songs. So, trigger warning: this is not something that you want to play, like if you're in an office or like around people that like maybe can't hear it, because it is explicit content. So anyway, a little bit about Ramin. Ramin Nazer is an artist based in Los Angeles, California. He is the author of After You Die, I Love Everyone, Strippy Comics, Hey, and Cave Paintings for the Future. You can find more about Ramin by going to rainbowbrainskull.com or raminnazer.com, RAMINNAZER.com. Yeah, follow him, follow along, again, like in this space of transition and our ever-changing times. It's good to find content and art and people that just make it feel a little less heavy, and Ramin is one of those people. He is a rainbow light of just goodness, and I just adore him, and he's one of my favorite people. And I hope you enjoy our chat about everything and nothing, and inside jokes inside of inside jokes inside of inside jokes. Welcome to Radio Amenti, embracing the eternal now, where minds and timelines merge, inspiring synchronicity, awakening potential, and making sense of change.
I actually am. I'm not even that. I don't go that far out there. I think I just listen to a lot of very cancelable stuff, and I'm afraid that it's going to come out through me. But I luckily just get it out in the confine of my apartment, and then publicly, I'm this perfect boy with perfect opinions.
Yeah, I mean, you're just full of rainbows and insight and wisdom. Why would
Yeah.
you ever be canceled? I've never listened to Come Town, and I've only ever heard of Come Town because of you. But is like Come Town cancelable? Like, what is the deal with that?
By far, yeah. I mean, there's no hard R N word or soft A N word in it, but like, I guess all the other words you can think of are brought up, and racist accents, and just just different songs with "suck my dick" in place of it. I think they've even said on the podcast that it's the only podcast you can just do in your own head. Suck my dick, eat my ass, suck my dick, eat my ass, and then, or just something like that, but with pop songs. And yeah, so honestly, I haven't listened to a lot of podcasts lately. I've kind of burnt out. I don't know where you're at with that, but just the whole, like, I don't know, it's all Trump bad, or the other side of it, far left is bad, or it's the people in the middle, like the culture wars themselves are bad, and we're all one. And I'm just kind of tired of people talking for a bit. So I've just been listening to instrumental music for the last month and have no idea what's going on.
Yeah, I am so there with you. Like, Ramin, when I drove cross country, I really got into this podcast called Conspiracy the Show, which was great. I love it. It's really funny. The guys that host it are like comedians, and they're just breaking apart conspiracies and just showing how so many of them are just total bullshit. And I just like had like belly laughs about it, because I just feel like so many people are like, yeah, the cabal, or like, yeah, the new earth, and all the cute bullshit. So it was refreshing to have that. But I'm in a space now where it's like fun to start recording podcasts again, but I'm really liking listening to music. Like, I found this weird Italian song on this platform called Dust to Digital, and it's basically the guy saying nothing. He's just saying like meaningless words, and I'm like, this beat slaps. This
Wait,
rules.
meaningless to you or to everyone? Is he not even speaking
To
Italian?
everyone.
Oh, okay.
He's not even speaking Italian. It's just all fucking nonsense.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah, I should get hip to that.
Yeah, it's called like Prese Casa Kamala Basin. I don't know. it's not a real word, so I'm not going to get canceled for mispronouncing it.
Going back to that conspiracy show, is there any particular juicy ones in there that were like debunked, or do they talk about like JFK, or is it mainly recent stuff? Is there any that you'd think was really true, but they've got really good evidence as to why it's just coincidence?
Well, I really liked some of the out there ones. Like I listened to the one about, have you heard about the frazzle drip?
No.
Oh my god. So there's this conspiracy that Anthony Weiner has some file on his computer called Frazzle Drip. And in Frazzle Drip, it's apparently a video of like Hillary Clinton eating babies or something that's so out there.
The video.
The video, yeah. So they completely like debunk that.
Literally eating babies, like as part of the adrenochrome thing?
Yeah, like cutting off a baby's face and like eating the adrenaline and like, whatever, making a worship to Moloch, whatever you do when you're in ritual killing babies, apparently.
Yeah.
But they debunked it and they were just like, this is such total bullshit. The JFK stuff, I've never really been like down the JFK rabbit hole. I really like hearing people unpack the really out there ones. Like the one they did on Plandemic was really good too, because they basically just were like, don't watch it.
Haven't even seen that. Haven't seen Plandemic. Haven't seen Social Media Descent, or what is it? Social Dilemma. Haven't seen the Scientology one. Hasn't seen the cult one. I saw Wild Wild Country. That was a kind of fun one. But I think whenever I talk to you or to Colin, somehow QAnon always gets brought up, and I still don't even know anything about, or I don't know that much about QAnon. And the stuff that bothers me about it isn't that I don't believe that Hillary and all them could be eating babies. That very well may be true, but to think that the Republican side isn't also eating the babies, like you really think it just stops there? It's either they're all eating the babies or none of them are eating the babies, but it's not this one guy that's on the good side and then fighting these bad guys,
Yeah, no.
But I could be wrong. They could get me. It feels like that's kind of expired now, hasn't it? Like, isn't there an expiration date if Biden is in office and
I really don't know. I mean, honestly, I went for a walk with my aunt like 2 weeks ago, and she had never heard of QAnon. So we were going for a walk, and I was just literally trying to explain to her what it was and how they think Trump is the savior. And some like Chad ass bro like got in my face and was like, "Trump is the savior. This is part of the plan." And I'm like, first of
it
all,
must be so cool to believe it. Imagine living in that world
oh my
where
god.
like you're on the right side of history and most people aren't hip to it, but and soon they're gonna like be really biting their tongue or whatever after it all goes down.
It's part of the plan, you know? I mean, I read this really great article where somebody that's like a video game programmer was talking about how the QAnon people, it almost emulates like LARPing, because it's all these people that think that they're getting these clues and solving this big mystery. And they're like, real truthers, real people that are dropping information are like the Edward Snowdens. They're not trying to like put you on some like treasure hunt to unpack these like really bizarre clues. It's like, they're like, yeah, this is true. Like, the government's
Yeah.
listening, data is being mined as a natural human resource. Like, shit's fucked up. Not like follow the penny down the sidewalk to find the rainbow into Ascension.
One of these days I am going to read about it and see what these actual drops are. I will say I did get into Pizzagate back in 2016, but it kind of fizzled out. Like after a certain point, you read those leaked emails and yeah, they reference pizza and walnuts or whatever FBI code for child trafficking, but then after that it just kind of, there's nothing more to dig, and the rest is just pure conjecture based on these two pieces of information which you don't even know where they came from. But
Yeah.
have you heard Edward Snowden talk? He is such a, like, he's meant to be some kind of movie college professor guy, and I feel like he really gets off on playing that role of just if the government were to decide that they were to press charges, they could go one of two ways, or they could apply a rule that hasn't been applied since the 90s, but Bush is guilty of it and Obama's guilty of it too. But and he goes on one long run-on sentence in this tone where you feel like you need to be taking notes, and he seems to know so much about this, but I guess he would, being the figure he is and having been through all that stuff.
strangely enough, I actually saw Edward Snowden give a talk live. He get called in on Skype. I got randomly invited to this. It was called the the World Technology Network.
It's called the
The
World
guy.
Series, and they somehow got Edward Snowden to play.
No, there was two. I got them mixed up. One was the World Summit on Technological Unemployment, which is also a really weird thing that I was invited to.
Technological unemployment.
Yeah, yeah, we can talk about that too. But
But sure,
the
go on.
world,
I've interrupted the last three.
yeah.
I'm just looking at the waveform here. It's like, how about you don't interject before a sentence is done? What if you tried that type of podcast style?
It's okay, we're flowing. But yeah, fucking oh god, what was his name? He used to be a lyricist for Grateful Dead, and then he got into like doing sustainable development, like creating fuel from algae. I'll remember his name at some
The
point.
bass player?
Oh god, what was his name? He's passed away.
Is it the skinny guy with the glasses? I don't know the Dead except for Jerry Garcia and Bob Weir. I forget the other players' names, and of course John Mayer, but that doesn't count.
I forget his name, but
Dead and
he
Co.
was live on stage, but Edward Snowden like phoned in from Russia or wherever he's living. And it was like the most haunting talk because in your voice of Edward Snowden, I'm imagining. So he says, he's talking about everything that's happening in the world. This is in 2015 or 2014 this happened. And he goes, the greatest tragedy is revelation met with apathy. And that really stuck with me because I'm like, well, what's happened over the last X amount of years? But the weirdest part about that event was that he gave that talk, right? And then the next person came up and gave like a presentation about how they're creating these drones that are the size of mosquitoes and can bomb a village. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, why the fuck am I here? How did I get here? This is so weird. Yeah.
Isn't it fun being part of the consciousness
Oh.
space? Like I never thought of myself as being part of it, but I've just kind of become part of it. And that people ask you to speak at so and so thing, and there's monks there, and there's professors there, and then all of a sudden you're just sitting there and trying to not embarrass yourself and just kind of nod appropriately.
Like Whitma?
Not to say that you're oh, totally like Whitma.
uh,
Whitma is fun. I don't know if there would be another one now, right?
no,
Because of
I mean
COVID.
Whitma's over. It wasn't.
The
They
band
broke
broke
up,
up.
yeah, but it was fun while it lasted.
It totally was. I still use my Juve Go. One of the sponsors was this red light that you plug in and then it shoots red light at you. And I don't know if it actually works, but I like to believe that it works. And so I like give myself a red light bath.
Do you feel like it ups your like collagen? Does your skin feel supple, or what is the deal? Is it mood lifting? What does it
This
do?
might, I don't know. I think it's maybe mood lifting. It feels like part of a ritual where I'm doing something. So like, you get up, you turn on the light, you check your email, you drink some coffee. Like it's part of that whole thing. But as far as what it does to my skin, honestly, I've always been very um like aloof about skin. I don't really think about my skin much, like in terms of is it soft, is it clear. Like I remember I had acne, and I went to see the doctor when I was a teenager, and I went for something else. I had like the flu or something, and then he's like, so Ramin, you gonna do anything about that acne? And I thought that was funny, especially because he called me Ramin and he was my general practitioner. But as far as what it does to the skin, I don't know. I should look. Maybe it does help with skin. I don't have skin problems. I don't sunburn. I have a brown complexion. So brown people don't get a lot of skin stuff and don't have to moisturize or anything. So it's good.
Yeah. Yeah, you're lucky. I am a mutt of culture, but I tend to get burned before I get brown.
Are
So
you Italian?
yeah, I'm Irish, Italian, Scottish, German, Mohawk, Native American, and Levantine.
Damn, you
Um,
did 23andMe?
I did.
Oh,
I did
okay. I was gonna say,
23andMe.
like, how do you know that? Me and Michael Phillip were joking around the other day about how many Italians are in this consciousness space. We got Jen Sodini, we got Colin Frangisetto, we got Mike Brancatelli, we got man, there was another one. Never mind, it's gone now. But like there was like
Michelangelo? Well, no,
oh,
he's not Italian. He's
ungoogleable.
Dutch.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
he just he just took the name.
Yeah, we're taping an episode next week. What a fun guy.
I love him. He's great. He actually messaged me today. we were two ships passing in the night as moved to LA. But yeah.
Oh yeah, he left because his dad's got the Alzheimer's, and then you moved here because you didn't have the Alzheimer's.
No, but two ships passing in the night, I guess. It's been good being here. I can't believe that, I've been here for 4 months and we still haven't hung out, but I mean, that's COVID times.
How's the new kitten?
She's amazing. She is really funny. Um it's funny cuz like I don't know, I think a big theme in general in life is like this man plans God laughs thing where it's like you have one thing in mind and then the other thing comes and you get
Mm-hmm.
exactly what you need. So after Ziggy died, I really was thinking like, do I get another like Maine Coon mix? What? Because Ziggy was my cat that passed was so affectionate. She was like a person, but I felt like every time I'd see another Maine Coon, it would like break my heart. So I was researching like what are the most affectionate cats. So I looked up a ragdoll, and apparently, like ragdolls, you can pick them up. They're supposed to be floppy. They're supposed to be like the most affectionate things in the world. And so I was like, oh, this is what I get. Synchronicity pushes me to meet this woman. She happens to have a new litter. Like I was just like, okay, cool. This is my cat. And she is like, she's affectionate in her own way, but she does not want to be picked up. She just wants to do her thing. I named her Kira after the character from The Dark Crystal, who's this like angelic
Oh, cool. Yeah.
fairy being, but she's like spicy as fuck. She's just like a little diva that just wants to do what she wants to do, but she's perfect.
Yep, that's what you get. Our guy's like
Yeah.
that too. He is a Bombay, so he's just an all black cat with gold eyes. But yeah, he hates getting picked up, and yeah, he just does everything his own way.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, that's the cool thing about cats though, because like I love my dog so much, but he's easy, like I give him a cookie, I do what he wants. He's just like happy hanging out. Cats, like when you get their affection, you feel like you're cool, like you're good. You did something right. At least that's how I feel.
Yeah, have you heard that, or not heard? Have you seen that meme that's floating around where it's an article and it's like why not okay, so the dog in the article writes, "Why not work from home forever? As America, we have to, stay locked down or whatever." And then the cat article writes, "America needs to get back to work now."
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah, our cat is like I feel like our cat loved quarantine at first and now he's sick of it. Now he's ready for people to leave the house again.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been a weird thing. I mean, I still don't understand what's going on in California right now. Like, aren't we supposed to go back into lockdown like in a day or two?
Oh, I thought I've just assumed it's like this forever. Not to sound like a bummer or anything, but I'm not reading the articles and the Fauci. I'm just assuming this is the new normal and it's going to get worse. So just get good at YouTube and get good at building your brand online and using these various social media platforms. And that's just kind of what I've adjusted to. So if it goes the other way, then great. But if it's just masks and staying at home forever, then I'm still going to be a happy clam because I mean, I don't know, you'll go insane otherwise, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm trying not to future trip too hard. I mean, I can handle if all it takes for me to like leave the house is a mask and that's the social contract I need to sign, I'm fine with it. And I'm a homebody, so it's okay, but it's just like I don't know. I mean, I'm not really. I don't know. I mean, that's the thing I've been leaning so deeply into, and a lot of conversations have been revolving around lately. Is just being okay with the I don't know right now because all of the larger issues that are at stake aren't really slowing down, and I think it's only going to get weirder. So, I mean, why not just like focus on
Yeah.
like creating art and like being happy and you know not being too afraid.
This might be a this might be an out there question, but this is we're out there folks. Do you think this is heading towards maybe one day like abandoning the whatever calendar we have? What is it? The Gregorian calendar? Do you think we might go to a different calendar at some point? I don't know why I thought that. I think cuz I'm just looking at a calendar and wondering it's so strange that we have this month has 30 days, this one has 31, this one has 28, sometimes it has 29, and the rise of the witch is happening and all this stuff, and maybe we're restructuring that. You know what, I don't know, it's kind of a dumb question because that's going into the future again.
I've never really thought about it. I mean, I've thought a lot about because like some people said that the Mayan calendar was actually misnumbered, and that like
By
world's
8
supposed to end
years?
in 20, yeah, like
Yeah.
2021 is supposed to be the end of the world, and like maybe we're approaching time wave zero. And I was talking to like my ex, who's like my best friend Richie, and he was like saying about like how like he was listening to some Terrence McKenna talk about how as we approach time wave zero, the sense of novelty will heighten. And I mean, every day is just like another non sequitur of weirdness about like Dolly Parton helped finance the vaccine. Old charming man saves his Cavalier King Charles from the mouth of a gator. Like everything is just so much weirder. So maybe we are slipping into timelessness, and this is just the singularity,
Oh, yeah.
you know?
And we're gonna get bored. I think we're getting bored of the novelty even. Like, I don't even notice it. I didn't even know about the Dolly Parton thing, or I mean, Joe Biden and Donald Trump could be dead and I wouldn't know for like 4 days.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel like it's such a it could be a triggering thing for people to hear me say this, but I'm just going to be honest. It's like I have really not been reading the news. I have just been trying my best to just stay present, because everything just like nothing's real. What is all of this? Everything's crazy. I
Wait,
I live in California. I don't know.
telling people you don't watch the news is gonna trigger them?
I don't know. People be like, that's a very privileged thing to say. And I'm like, well, I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah. Well, we have a podcast too. I mean, so I mean, having internet is super privilege. Having the knowledge on how to produce your own show and put it out also privilege, and being able to talk about non injustice. Like I don't think we've mentioned injustice once. I just brought it up right now and I'm already going to like change the
Yeah, but I
subject.
feel like it's something like when I don't know. Weren't we talking about this on your podcast though too? Because I feel like yeah, like when
Probably.
we podcast passed over the summer, it was like I was like prime into Putu birds to like not focus.
Oh yeah. The Putu birds.
Yeah,
I got to
yeah,
get back into them. No, but not to make light of injustice or trying to do something about it, but just I think talking about it nonstop, especially when you have nothing new to say, or just sharing the same oversimplified meme or Twitter screen captures, is not a strategy to I don't know, convince people. It maybe it gets some people, but I don't know. I find a lot of people just kind of shut off after a certain point, and you can have that fatigue of what's it called? I don't even remember. I'm like term remembering.
apocalypse fatigue.
Yeah, apocalypse fatigue, and our attention span is so low. It's about or it's so short. It's about one thing, and then the next week it's about another thing, and we never fixed the thing before, but all of a sudden, I mean, remember when it was about Cecil the lion? I realize this is during Obama years, so we had it different. But there was a year where we cared most that some rich dentist hunted a lion,
Yeah.
and the cops were still doing shit. Like this was after Trayvon, I think.
Yeah, I feel like Trayvon didn't get as much attention as he should have, you know? Like that's just like a state of the world that like the lion had more of a light shown on it than what happened with Trayvon Martin. I mean, what even happened with like Harambe? Wasn't that like big around that time too? What did Harambe
Oh
do?
yeah. Oh, I forgot. Yeah, that too. Yeah, it was completely different time, and we had a different I don't know, it was a different feeling in the air, and it was pre-Trump, and now we're post-Trump. Like so we've gone the fear of Trump, we've initiated him, he's been sworn into office. We had the mid-Trump fear where we had the 4 years of it, and we had the election thing, and now the election is done, and now we're just kind of sitting here like, is this a calm before the storm? Like it's still bad, but is it starting to get more normal, and is that good or bad that it gets normal, like cuz then we get complicit with things? I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't ever claim to be I'm not at the forefront of this. And I think there are much more knowledgeable people that are, and I think I kind of get irritated when everyone tries to be at the forefront of solving everything when you really don't know what the best move is.
Completely.
So what I'm trying to say is we need to increase the police budget by 200%. That's what I'm trying to say.
Did they didn't get defunded either. That like came and went either.
No, I think they defunded one small department in Minneapolis and then refunded it the week later when no one was looking, when
Oh
everyone was
god.
talking about wet ass pussy or something like that.
Yeah, that's the world. What a world that we live in.
Yeah, it's fun. It's not gonna. It's. Did you watch Mad Men?
No, I didn't. Everybody says I'd like it though. I have not seen it.
It's kind of long, so I don't know if you're not into it, then you're not into it. But it's kind of fun to watch something that's takes place in the late 60s and how they thought the world was ending because, JFK gets shot and then the guy that shot him gets shot and there's civil unrest and just all the conversations are kind of like, oh, the state of the world. Like, is there going to be a world? And also they're going to the moon. And it kind of has a lot of parallels between now. So who knows if we're heading into a new 70s or a new 80s or something.
Yeah. Isn't that weird though? Like the cosmic mirror of parallel, but it's like now we're going to Elon Musk wants to go to Mars and like the psychedelic renaissance is happening and I don't even know if we can call it a psychedelic renaissance because I feel like it's like kind of came and went and now it's like at a kitschy spot where like even it's yes 2 days ago was like my year anniversary of when I had like my demonic possession on ayahuasca.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that was a year ago, and I'm like, "Oh, man," like, even that, like, I'm like, "Is everything just a distraction?" Like, everything is just, like, a riddle upon a riddle upon a riddle, and, like, I don't know. It's weird.
I think the mistake is even trying to to kind of put it in a box, like to say, I mean, I realize I'm the one that brought this up, but to say it's, oh, this is like the 60s or like the 80s or it's like the Spanish flu, and or if it's a psychedelic renaissance or something, it's kind of like it's expanding in every single direction. So everything has gotten to be more, and we can choose a little subdivision of it and say, oh, it's all about this now. But even if we try to map out the whole thing, it's just too big to look at in a day. And
Yeah.
that goes to the Terence McKenna novelty thing. It's complexity builds upon complexity and builds upon even more complexity until you just are novelty and you can't say anything but novelty anymore. Novelty, novelty, novelty. And then you do it again because you paid for a 2-hour lecture and I've only spoken for 30 minutes. And we'll talk about this more over the weekend. I was talking to Duncan about like how McKenna always says, or not every time, but just oftentimes his talks are like, and we discussed this over the weekend over more here in Esalen, which we'll discuss further. I didn't mean to get into this, but we'll discuss it further.
I never paid attention to that. I always like I feel like every time I think of Terrence McKenna, I think of him talking about like in the body. And like he loves saying the
In the
body.
body. Well, think of the body. It consists of a head, an arm, and another arm. There's this symmetry that's going on throughout your entire being. And, well, that's all I have to say about that. No, he would never say that's all I have to say about that. He always
That's a
says,
Forrest Gump thing, not a Terrence McKenna.
yeah. Did you know that Terrence, this is one of my favorite things about him, is that he used to hold bullies at bay with stories. He would talk
No.
about how like these bullies would be chasing him down and he would just start telling a tale about a young man who found himself in a
Wow.
similar predicament, and then so he was such a good orator that the bullies just couldn't help but just listen as he's saying something, and then he darts away on his bike and he learned all these different paths to get home to avoid the bullies, and thus created a map of his world. And I love. Do you like biographies and origin stories? I've
Oh, I
learned that
love
about
that.
myself.
Yeah.
I love
I'm
seeing
a big
people's,
fan.
yeah, for better or for worse. Like so many of my heroes have just the second half of their life is shit, and and oftentimes their fault too. For or maybe not. Maybe it's just they had mental problems. But if we're saying that we have free agency to solve our mental issues, then I'll say then yeah, it's oftentimes yeah, it might have been Charlie Parker's fault that he fell off the rails or that Jaco Pastorius did, but also maybe they were just super tortured.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird. Like, um, very rare that you hear a story about a comedian or a philosopher or a great thinker that is like rainbows and puppies and kittens. Like the life is riddled with tragedy and
Yeah,
really high strangeness.
yeah, and that's better for us too. Otherwise, it would bore us
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
as
I
the
don't want to
people
watch
outside of it.
boring.
Yeah.
A boring documentary, or I'm on a biopic. Give me all the drama.
Yeah.
But yeah. I wanted to ask you, because did you watch Beavis and Butthead as a kid?
Yeah, of course. I saw the movie. I watched the show. Yeah, I guess that's it, right? I don't think there was another
Yeah.
movie. I didn't see the new one. I did watch the original though.
The new one was pretty good. I mean, I love Mike Judge. I think King of the Hill was also excellent. Idiocracy is like a fucking documentary. So like the guy has just like always been ahead of his time. But I've had this theory for a long time that the teacher from Beavis and Butthead, that Mike Judge based that teacher off of Terrence McKenna.
Interesting. I hadn't heard that before.
And I think I was just stoned and thought that.
I think I could see it, and it wouldn't surprise me if Mike was into someone like Terrence because he surprises me with his range of interests. Like when he did the Tales from the Tour Bus, and he did a whole season on funk. He did a whole season on country, Outlaws, like you said, Idiocracy, King of the Hill, Beavis and Butthead, Office Space.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, Silicon Valley, I didn't really get into, but I'm sure I'm missing like half of his work. Like that guy's come out with so much consistently good stuff.
Complete and really good social commentary. And I think that's something I really have come to appreciate. Like I think, when I first kind of like went on this path of like wanting to like explore the universe and figure things out, like it just felt so serious in the beginning, like 2012, 2013. I'm like getting lost in all these YouTube rabbit holes and like watching documentaries and just binging content. It's like I almost forgot to laugh. And
Yeah.
now at this point, it's like I just want to laugh, give me novelty. Like I want the South Park, I want the Mike Judge, I want things that can just poke fun at how absurd and fucked up everything is and like not take itself so seriously.
Me three. Or me too. I imagine that there was three of us right now. Me and my cup of water. Yeah, and it's a challenge to find a new thing to laugh at because maybe Futurama made you laugh or South Park made you laugh and now you've seen it, or maybe you're used to the angle at which they're coming at. Like South Park I still enjoy watching, but I don't remember if it's really made me laugh out loud as much as some really obscure Patreon podcasts or YouTube shows. Like little things like that kind of get me now. I've been
Yeah.
listening to Your Mom's House recently. That's a kind of funny one.
What is that about?
That's Tom Segura and Christina Pajitsky, and they're just playing awful videos. And it's all about the culture. I think the subculture within every podcast, where the listeners are called a certain thing, and there's these recurring sound bites and things. You just kind of get into it over time, and then the references stick to you more. I don't know if you resonate with that at all, but I think it's kind of these mini cults that we all get into. I think it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, no, I really like that. I like feeling like a part of something. Like you're just all in on the same inside joke.
Yeah, even if you don't have to do anything other than just tune in sometimes.
Yeah, completely. You're just like, yeah, okay, I get it. I'm here with you.
Yeah,
Um,
like Your Mom's House is the listeners are called mommies and they're called Hitlers. And so it's like, what up, Hitlers? I'm writing in to say blah blah blah, and it's funny seeing it on YouTube. Like, who's here from the mommies? Like things like that. They'll post in the video like where they came from. So you're finding your tribe, and we're all part of like 1,000 different tribes right now. Maybe not
right.
1,000, but you get what I'm saying.
Oh, totally. Yeah, and like the Venn diagram of like where all the different things meet is really interesting. Like, I don't know. Like Corey Allen and I have like a weird thing. I don't know if this would be part of my tribe, but like just the absurdity of like misspelled shitty drawings or things. Like last last week, I don't know why I think frogs are really funny for some reason.
They are.
They are. They're ridiculous. So there was a shitty drawing and of a frog, and it was spelled Forg, Forg. And he and I were just like going back and forth about it for like a half an hour about like praise Forg. I mean, it's like,
Like
and
why is that wrong and why is frog right? It kind of taps into something, like, to not to overanalyze it, but it's like we accept these things are serious. Like it's spelled this way and it's very serious and that's what it is. And it's ridiculous. It's a fork.
Yeah, exactly. Like just one thing can make it wrong. Like there was one he sent me, and I might have repeated myself that I've said this before, but it's just I like misspelled things. But it was like a buffet table, and spinach was spelled spinch.
I saw a series like that, and like it eventually gets to like Hamburger, and as you're reading them in your head, it eventually gets you. Like you cannot laugh at the first 10, but around 15, 16, you're howling. Eventually, one of those gets you.
Yeah, and then you just start thinking like, wow, really all we're doing and anything that we're saying, this conversation right now is just a bunch of mouth noises that like
Oh
to
yeah,
a higher level being, to a cell, to a bug, to my cat, it's just like this they're just making noise.
oh yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, and we're not hunting anything. We're not trying to find food. It's just the stupidest thing. What are we doing?
Forg.
Fork. Yeah, it's such an alien sounding entity, and frogs are very alien looking.
Yeah. Yeah, they're really I mean toads too. I mean like you've not have you done Bufo?
No, I haven't. But Sean and Cass and you and I think Colin and the whole gang I think is into it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I actually saw Trisha Eastman yesterday. She had like a Friendsgiving thing and she's amazing and I don't know how she does that all the time, but it's just like absurd also to think like in a meta narrative that a toad, this little kind of like cute and disgusting thing has the secrets to the universe on it. And if you smoke it, you die and go into the void and come back and they're like, "Wow, I'm enlightened." How? How did that work?
Were you saying you don't know how Trisha does Bufo all the time, or how she has events all the time?
Bufo. I
Oh,
mean,
have Bufo
that's
all the time.
not my medicine. I mean, I am very grateful for the experience. I It was very humbling to just like kind of like go into the void and dissolve into nothingness and like just I had a friend of mine explain it to me where he's like literally you go into nothing. And I am like I couldn't even like wrap my head around what that could be like because I'm thinking like is it like DMT where you go into like the fractal mandala Alex Gray painting or is it like mushrooms where everything's kind of like Google Deep Dream? And he's like no, it's nothing. So for me it was like just black empty space without stars. Like
Ugh.
in the OA like when she's in the room with Katoon,
And
it's like
Katoon
that
leaves.
room. Yeah, but, like, just imagine, like, being in there and that silence, but, like, no stars, and, like, you're just I don't even know. It was just the craziest thing. So,
That
anyway, like, I
happens to her. Remember
yeah.
that Katoon, she goes back and Katoon isn't there, and there's theories online that it's she's time traveling, and since she's the original angel, she went to a place before Katoon existed, and perhaps she's the mother of all of them. But we'll never know because Netflix chose instead to get what, a new Garth Brooks special, a new Larry Cable Guy special, uh, like How to Not Cook show. Yeah,
It's still number 1 on there, but they won't bring it
and
back.
like, not that I'm the person carrying around this flag all the time, but for what that show was, like, aside from being cool to us, like the boxes it checked off, because I know Netflix in particular loves intersectionality points, like having trans people on, having gay people on, having a woman's point of view without just having woman warrior, not just copying like some fictional man, but like it was such a unique story, so much representation, but still like, no, no, thank you, we don't want to complete this story.
Ugh, yeah. I have no words for it. I mean, the logic is very strange. Um, and if they could have like just taken it so much further. I feel like we were just getting started. I actually really liked the second season. I like the second season even more than the first.
I think equal. I can't rank them. They're so different, but I mean, hopefully listeners know what we're
Yeah.
talking about. I mean, if they listen to your podcast and they don't know OA yet, then I don't know what to say.
Yeah. I feel like, I mean, I hope that whoever's listening knows that because I talk about the OA a lot or post about it on Instagram, but it was a great show and I love Britt Marling. And I constantly am checking her IMDb to see if she's working on anything and it doesn't seem like she is, which also is a bummer.
Yeah, I mean, I follow them on social media, and or I don't know if Britt does, but Zal, her co person, occasionally posts an old screenshot of OA, and it psychs everybody out because we're like, is it coming back? And then no words.
No words. But I
Yeah.
mean, it is pretty trippy though when she wakes up in the other dimension that Biden is the president. So that was a little weird.
Yes. I really I liked that, and I like when, I mean, because of, how do I say a sentence again? Let's start the sentence over again. They, because it's not about Biden being president. It's about, we don't want this universe to be about Trump and Trumpism and like that whole circus. Like this is an alternate universe, exactly the same, but instead we get boring president, and so now we can actually tell the story and not have Trump making fun of the movements or like having him incorporated into the story, that kind of thing.
Oh my god, yeah. Imagine I just it's just like when you zoom out and even just think of like saying that what life like imagine after the 4 years after Biden, whatever happens, like we have been alive
4 years of Biden, no, like two tops.
two tops. I mean, Kamala is just going to be president.
Two tops. Kamala in, yeah, two within 2 years, and then runs against Don Jr. in 2024 and wins by a very narrow margin. That's my prediction now.
Do you think The Rock will run? I remember hearing that, and I was like, that makes sense.
He'd have to run as a Democrat, wouldn't he? He wouldn't run as a Republican. Or maybe he would. Is he a Republican? That'd be funny.
I don't know. I feel like he probably likes guns. I mean, he's got big ones.
He's probably he is a Republican, but publicly, like he can't actually come out as a Republican.
Isn't that strange? Like what a game that would be. It's like guess the celebrity of the Republican or Democrat, or like who's the closet Republican.
I think Matthew McConaughey, closet Republican, and then I don't know.
Jennifer Aniston to me seems like she's a closet Republican.
Yeah. I mean, they have a lot to lose in taxes.
Yeah.
Not that they wouldn't still be filthy rich without it, but I mean, I get it if they don't want to pay 40% or I don't even know what the tax rates are. It's kind of funny. Yeah, there's a comedian, Lori Kilmartin, who I think she was brought up conservative, and you just kind of mimic what your parents believe in, or maybe you just go the opposite of them. But she was saying it's funny growing up and your biggest fear is bureaucrats or taxes when you're 12.
Yeah, and funny that's not that they don't teach us about that in school,
They don't teach us about relationships, they don't teach us about taxes, they don't teach us about voting, they don't teach us about
mental health, like nothing.
No, the opposite of mental health.
Yeah.
Suppress more. Which there's some value to that sometimes, but not in the macro.
What kind of student were you in high school?
I think B to A. I think just like kind of low A's, like a low hum of A's throughout the whole thing, plus some B's and maybe a C occasionally when I was thrown off. I graduated number 56 out of 560. And in Texas, there's a law that if you're in the top 10%, you have to be admitted into the state school. So I got into University of Texas by being the last person in the top 10%.
Wow.
What about you? What kind of stew were you?
Well, in elementary school, I was in like academically talented program. And then when I got to high school, I just hated being there. So my mom would drop me off at school and I would just leave. I'm like, I don't want to be here. I'm going to go for a walk.
Don't you get in trouble eventually? Like the attendance thing, the detention, the missed.
Yeah, I mean, I got in trouble, but like I still graduated. I still like without going to class got like A's and B's because I just was like I can do this shit on my own. And like I've always been just kind of like a punk kid of just being like I'm smarter than you. You're not teaching me anything.
Hell yeah, yeah, and you showed them because you got the A's and B's.
Yeah, exactly. I think senior year of high school, I was absent like 40 days. And I had to just like get some bullshit doctor's notices. And I didn't even go to my high school graduation. I just picked up my diploma. I'm like, fuck this noise. I hate everybody.
That's so funny.
I was like, this is terrible.
Did you party?
No, I was actually really good. Like in high school, I really loved going to Blockbuster, and like I was a friend to all. Like I was nice to everybody. Like I feel like the popular people liked me. Like I just was nice. And I didn't really I'd never been like a big drinker, so like if I'd go to parties and stuff, like I would like just bring a little bottle of like cranberry juice and vodka, and that would be like what I'd have for the night. And anytime I did try to drink, I like remember I got really sick drinking Mike's Hard Lemonades, and I had to call my mom and be like, "He picked me up. I fucked up."
Just from the sugar content, right? Because it's like drinking 6 Cokes. Yeah, it's better if you just drank vodka
Yeah.
straight than
I
all
just gave
the
myself
sugar in
diabetes.
your system. I wish I'd partied more. I didn't party at all in high school. But also, like, what's the point of wishing, right?
No, I mean, we're here now. I think, every experience is different. I look back to high school though and like think about like when you think about like 14 through 18, it's so young, and like being in your like mid 30s or whatever, like seeing like my cousins' kids who are like 13 and 15, or like other kids that are 13 around that age, and I'm like, damn, like that's very young. That's very,
Yeah.
very young. And like in my high school, like I was really good. Like I didn't like do drugs or anything. Like I smoked weed like when I was a senior, but like there were kids like in my freshman class that were like doing coke in the bathroom and like doing ecstasy, and like one of this like girl that I knew was like, if you saw her, she was like the most prissy pilgrim, and she like smoked crack sophomore year of high school, and I'm like, what? How did this little pilgrim 15-year-old get crack? What is going on?
That's probably why, right? Like, because the pilgrim Puritan whatever parents at home, it's probably building up that pressure where you just have to let it out by lighting that crack pipe
Yeah, what
in
a
the girls'
weird
room.
time.
Isn't it so great that that period is over? Like, I try to remind myself every day that I don't have to go to school. I don't even have to go to, before I had to go to a building all day. And then I went to college and I had to go to a building sometimes. I had a flexible ish schedule. And then you go to work and then sometimes you get to work from home. But now I've graduated past all of that where I don't have to work for anyone. I'm just home all day. I can get up whenever I want. I don't have to dress in any particular way. I can shout whatever obscenities I want. It's great.
Are you at home in a trash bag just shouting obscenities at the wall in between
Of
drawing?
course. Yeah. That's all I do. I spend so much time in bed and I like offload my guilt to my girlfriend where, around 4 p.m. I'm like, I've been standing for 3 hours, so it's okay to work from bed. And she's like, yeah, it's okay. You don't have to ask that every day. And then I still have to just, the use her for emotional labor. Like, it's okay for me to do whatever I want. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, it's nice to have that sounding board, you know? Like I live alone, like I work for myself, and like I mean 10 years ago I like had the choice where I was just like I never want to have an office job, so I'll do whatever I have to do to not get to that point. But when you
Yeah.
don't have like an anchor point, like I'll have days where I'll get like lost in a project and I won't leave the chair, and then all of a sudden it's dark out and I haven't eaten anything all day, and I'm like, dude, I need to eat something. I just
Yeah.
like plugged in editing this thing, but I wouldn't have it any other way. I'm so grateful to not have to like sit in an office or answer to anybody other than like clients I take on or like projects that I want to do, because it's just I don't know. It's not corporate life ain't for me.
I know we're grateful and all that, but also, devil's advocate, isn't it kind of annoying that we do have to eat every day and drink water every day and like just there's so much maintenance. And I know, yes, most of it is not maintenance. Our heart beats without us telling it to. Our kidney synthesizes whatever it does, or liver or whatever. All that stuff works without us having to consciously do it. But just you forget to eat and then you have to go get the food. And yeah, we're lucky we can afford the food, but pie in the sky dreams. Wouldn't it be great to just be a being of light that just like, oh, I haven't eaten in 1,000 years, but today I'm going to eat for 3 days straight. That'll be fun.
Yeah, like we're breathrenarians or whatever that's called.
Yeah, I never bought into that, but I mean, I do buy into it in the grand scheme of thing where everything is the Matrix and yeah, anything is possible. But when
Or you can like sun your butthole for nutrients.
I saw people with pictures of that, and it's so funny how far I'm for it. To be honest, I'm a fan. The just people's Instagram where like it's just a picture of them shining their. You don't see the asshole; it's a side view, but they're just aiming their asshole at the sun, and that's like the latest post. They maybe put like a
Yeah,
little
so cute.
star emoji near where like part of puss or asshole would be showing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the funniest thing about that for me is like, I love unintentional comedy. Like, to me, like, I see stuff and I'm like, wait, to this person, this isn't a joke.
Yeah.
But to me, this is the funniest fucking thing I've ever seen. And I need to share it to 12 people.
Yeah, precisely.
Unintentional comedy is great.
Yeah, I wonder if I've done
But
that myself many times.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Self-deprecation is like a very important thing too. It's like I went through a phase where like I after Ziggy died, I like looked at my social media and like I was like I'm deleting anything that feels like maudlin melancholy or like fucking like some essay on like my feelings, and I'm just like I just want to post funny stuff cuz I don't want to be fodder for somebody to be like god, this girl is like depressed.
Yeah.
Like no, I just want to share memes and fun stuff.
Hell
That's where I'm
yeah.
at right now.
And you
No more of that.
and how long
No live journal.
how old was Ziggy?
Ziggy was 10.
Oh man. I think I knew that because the while you were making the announcements, but I just forgot then. I remember that it wasn't it wasn't like super young, but it wasn't super old either, which is a shame.
No, yeah, because my other cat, Peach, I've had her since I was 19, which is crazy. And she was wild. Her mom was like a feral cat and had a litter of kittens. And I've had Peach since I was 19. So, like, she to
Damn.
me, like, she's still like really healthy and like a little kitten. And Ziggy she was perfect until this, but it's just, it was a lot.
When it's your time, it's your time.
And I'll tell you what, like, I went through a phase, I think, especially after like having that really scary ayahuasca trip and then just like kind of like falling out with like Anna after Whitma. And like, I had a lot of like really negative shit happen over the last year that kind of put me into a cycle of cynicism and like really just like, then like family shit, whatever else. And then moving here and losing Ziggy, it was kind of like my last thing of like, okay, enough. Like you have to like just be in a happy space because life is so short and precious. And it was just really weird the timing because the day that I had to put her down was awful. But the next day I got gifted this like ketamine meditation. And I swear to God, that was like a catalyst to further just like get into the now, just be happy, all is good. And I don't know, like it kind of made me reconnect to, and it just, I feel like the word spirituality has become so bastardized and like triggering to be like spirituality. But I don't know. I've been tapping back
Yeah.
into a current of like, wow, life can be magical and beautiful and everything is temporary and precious. So, like, really appreciate that and laugh every day and like appreciate every single fucking thing. And don't give in to the nothing because it gets pretty dark when you go deep down there.
Yeah, and it's not gonna let up by just waiting it out. You have to make the choice.
Exactly.
Like it's not like there's because all that stuff that happened to you, that's all independent of COVID and election and
Yeah.
social unrest. This was all personal while that stuff was also happening. And it's not it's not like it would have stopped after that. Like it'll still give you bad cards even if
Yeah.
you feel like you've been dealt enough. So eventually you just have to resign to the fact that it might just be all bad cards from here, and then I can play them differently, to use that old metaphor.
Completely. But that's what I love so much about your art and the way that you share things too, because it is kind of like this cheeky space of like, yeah, everything has the potential. Like every day can be these things. There's all these different iterations of possibility and like, kind of like under this rainbow lens, but also just like knowing that like no human being is impervious to pain, taxes, trauma. It's just like, how do we choose to navigate that portal, And we can have bad days, but like, let's just maybe find some kind of breadcrumb of happiness through it.
Yeah. And spirituality, the word, it wasn't cool even by the time you and I got into it. I feel like we were born at a time where it had already run its annoying course, and then it kind of had a rebirth. And we say the word, but we always preface it with for lack of a better word. It's like, well, I've been, for lack of a better word, spiritual, and I'm a big fan of God or the universe or whatever you want to call it. And we can never just say God, spirituality, because then it takes on that whole brand. And like it or not, it's a brand. Science is a brand. It's not merely a brand, but it is a brand. I don't know if I've gone on that rant before, but just you're wearing a black turtleneck and there's the universe behind you, and you're very skeptical, and like it's all a brand at the end of the day.
Yeah, and, like, on the antithesis of that is, like, the spiritual brand where it's, like, this weird space of beige and, like,
Yeah.
weird headbands and, like, cultural appropriation, and, like, the ambassadors of the spiritual movement really don't do it any favors, so, like, it's not
Yeah.
I'm like, I just wear, like, band tees and, like, black pants and, like, sneakers. That's, like, my look, and maybe that's its own meme, but, like, I don't know, like, I wish there was a word for it. I think we're just I really like creative. Like I'm just a creative person, and within that space of being a creative person, like I look at the life as this like creative impulse, and whatever that means is like the creative impulse of God, is the creative impulse of like the universe, lack of a better word. I don't know. Creativity feels so like limitless. Spirituality feels so like namaste. Like
Yeah, yeah, it doesn't even, you almost don't have to create when you think of spirituality. You think it's already been made, and there's this flower of life, and there's this mandala, and there's this guru, and that's kinda it, and then you repress all your anger, and that's the package.
yeah, and that's so unhealthy because like anger's a good thing to work through. Like I think it's like to deny that we have angry moments is to deny our humanity. Like it's like that movie Inside Out where like, you know, they all work together. We all experience these things. But I there's a really good, it's called like the anger iceberg, I think it's called. And basically it talks about how like anger is actually a secondary emotion. So when you come to understand your anger and you look at it through like more of like a microscopic lens, you can learn something deeper about yourself. So like when the spiritual bypass and all the like love and light bullshit, like to discount anger is to also discount like a hidden layer of maybe a deeper trauma that you need to unpack and uncover that can help you understand yourself more. And it's like not the most ideal emotion to have, but there's always like something to like learn from it instead of suppressing it and then one day just like breaking the kombucha machine.
Oh, I love the specific reference of the kombucha machine. Um,
Yeah.
what do you think it's a root of? Fear? If anger is a secondary emotion, what's it derived from? Fear or from
Fear, rejection, um, abandonment, loss. Um, you know, maybe the weird thing that like your mom didn't give you when you were a kid, so somebody's like hitting that chord and it's making you angry instead of making you sad.
Yeah, I mean, I can just buy that action figure now though, so.
What, the anger iceberg or what
Oh no,
action
no,
figure?
I know you just said your mom didn't buy you something, so I just made a joke of like I can buy that storage Michelangelo.
Oh.
Not ungoogleable Michelangelo. I'm talking Ninja Turtles.
Ninja Turtles. Oh, speaking of Ninja Turtles of the misspelled things, that was another one of my favorite ones. Have you heard the ninja?
Turtle or ninja?
It's no, somebody made a crochet and it said Tootin' Mean Age Needle Teedle.
Oh yes. What about, did you ever see Franz where they like distorted the characters of Friends?
No.
They made their noses and eyes a little bigger and they just wrote Franz.
Yeah,
I think they're missing noses or I
that's
don't
an
know,
art form.
some distorted. Yeah, it is pretty wild what's going on our devices, and the outside world looks pretty much the same as it did 10 years ago, but then the world in the devices is so, it's it's built little cultures upon cultures and little acronyms and memes that have been worn out and reborn and worn again, and we haven't even gotten started.
No, but somehow like too like Shrek and SpongeBob and like these weird like Winnie the Pooh. Like when you think about the pop culture icons that become these like ambassadors for a meme or for like a template of like here's the funny and this is who's behind it. Like was Shrek even funny when it came out? Like I thought Shrek was okay, but I don't understand. Like I never realized how much the internet loves Shrek memes. Have you noticed this?
They I've seen the distorted Shrek meme where it's like a really bad CGI Shrek, and I can't think of one at the moment. I maybe have. I don't really follow meme accounts. They just kind of they just show up, right? Like other people post them, so you see it.
Well, now you're gonna get an ad for it on your phone. Yeah. My Discover feed, I talk about like just like a weird amalgam of consciousness is like usually just like a bunch of like surreal Shrek memes, like cute clothes, like sneakers, David Bowie and frogs.
Oh, yeah. Can you believe
Like
it's been 5 years since we lost
I
David?
know. I cried so hard. I cried so hard when he died. Do you remember where you were when he died?
I mean, just in my apartment, but I was super into Black Star, and I knew that he was going to die that week because of the video for Lazarus and Black Star, and it came out that he had cancer, and we hadn't seen him in a decade. The last video he put out, I think, was for The Next Day, that album where it's just the copy of the Heroes album with his eyes blocked out and it says The Next Day. And so his hair was more brown then and he didn't look that old. And then when Black Star came out, I was like, oh, they really made him old for this. And then I realized they didn't make him look old. He is old. And then you're watching this 11-minute video and you're like, he's fucking dying. And then you see Lazarus and you're like, he's probably dead now. And then it's announced January 6th or sometime in early January that he died. And I thought it was the most perfect dismount of an incarnation I'd ever seen. Like who played it that perfectly? Who made their death like such a beautiful piece of art and without just it wasn't just some cheesy reflection of his past where he dresses up as Ziggy Stardust and the Thin White Duke and like stuff like, hey, remember this? Like it was a completely new thing that was just what he was then and got you to really look at life and death more. And even that video wasn't even just about death, but I could talk about that for 2 hours. The initiation message hidden in Black Star.
Oh yeah. And I mean the outfit that he chose. I remember like the other photo of him. Was that outfit from a music video or from a photo shoot? Because I remember the photo of him with the Kabbalah and the Tree of Life wearing that same outfit that he wore in
in
Lazarus.
uh in
Um,
Lazarus. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. I love how you said it. He had the perfect dismount of an incarnation.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can't top that.
Yeah, Prince did pretty well too, but his is a little different. He put out Art Official Age, which was kind of a swan song, and I liked it a lot. It was a good album. And then he put out like three other like very horn heavy records, and then I mean died in an elevator with his clothes inside out. That was interesting, right? Are we gonna let
Wait,
the
wait. That's how is that how Prince died?
That's what I read. It was he collapsed in an elevator in Paisley Park, and his shirt and his shoes were inside out, and it was all black. I think it seems intentional.
I didn't hear that, but I mean, it seems like it. You've heard the stories.
It could have just been one fake news thing. I don't know, but I wanted to believe it's true.
I mean, Prince seemed like a nut. I mean, you've heard the stories of like Questlove, where he like the Finding Nemo thing. Have you heard that?
Oh, that's not even the half of it. He's got great stories of being out there, but yeah, he was both. He was uh, Gemini full and through. The purple, the purple, and then the yellow, the opposite, was all about dirty mind and all about Jesus. Like he lived in both simultaneously.
Yeah. I mean, fucking
He
imagine.
wouldn't curse, but
Oh, sorry. What did you say?
oh, I was going to say like he went through a phase where he doesn't curse at all, but then like so many of his albums before the MTV Music Awards with his butt cheeks out, like it was he occupied all of it. I was mainly a fan of just the the musicianship and performance. Like he did so much, like the way he could move and play and compose and the stories, and he's like what 5'4" and wears high heels, so androgynous. And yeah, just and in the 80s too, it was I was way more a Prince guy than a Michael Jackson guy, but also I love Michael too.
Oh yeah.
But I think Prince won that battle.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely think Prince won that one, at least just for cool factor. Like Michael Jackson, I don't know if it's like I mean, all the controversial stuff aside, like the coolness of him departed when he just slowly became like a white woman. I mean, like I don't understand.
Yeah. And Prince like kind of went the other way. Like he didn't become more black, but towards the end he's like embracing his afro more like he did in the 70s. And uh
and still going door to
yeah,
door
so and
and
they
like prophesying or whatever. I don't know what the Jehovah's Witnesses do, but when I lived in Asbury back in Jersey, they'd always knock, and sometimes I'd open and just be like, hey, I love like talking to people, like I don't ever want to like dismiss anybody. I just like kind of like, so what's happening here? But imagine like you knock
yeah.
and fucking Prince
Have,
Prince is there.
not only that, and I've said this before on my podcast and probably other places. This is like the 8th time I've said it, but if Prince and Larry Graham came to my door, I would become a Jehovah's Witness, no doubt. And it was Larry Graham that got.
Wait, who's Larry Graham?
Larry Graham is the bass player for Sly and the Family Stone and Graham Central Station, and later on also Prince. But he invented slap bass. He's like the best bass player in the whole world, and it took him 2 years to convince Prince to convert to Jehovah's Witness. It was like a 2-year dialogue where at the end of it, he's like, you know what? You're right. Like it wasn't just instantly. He like had to think it out. And for whatever reason, that resonates with both of them. And they hold some secret of the funk that I don't know. So it's like they're not crazy, but they're also crazy because
Yeah.
they're Jehovah's Witnesses.
They're
But
Jehovah's Witnesses.
but if they came to your door though, like those two guys, like I would be so happy. I'd be like, whatever you guys are selling, put me down for 8. And I'll see you whenever you need me to see.
Yeah.
No, listen to Graham Central Station. Listen to Sly and the Family Stone live at Woodstock. And yeah, I mean, he just completely changed the game on the bass because he played with his mother, and they didn't have the drummer, like something happened to the drummer, so they didn't have a drummer. And basically he had to be a drummer and a bass player. So that's how he invented the slap pop technique. And that technique has gotten so overplayed, and people think of Seinfeld when they hear it, and so many people do it poorly, so it's like kind of cheesy, the same way that Eddie Van Halen guitar like shredding gets cheesy because too many people do it and they don't do it perfect. So if you do it perfect though, and especially if you invented it, then I'm a big fan of people like that.
And you'll become a Jehovah's Witness for them.
Of course. Yeah, anything. What are you selling? Satanism, Jehovah's Witness, regular plain Christianity with no sauce, whatever. But it has to be them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if it's the bass player from, I don't know, if it's the bass player from Bush or Maroon 5, fuck you, I don't care. But Larry Graham and Prince, yes.
I don't even know the bass players from Maroon 5 for Bush.
No one does.
Yeah.
All they know, you only know Adam Devine or Adam Levine, right?
Yeah, and
all the other Maroon 5 people, yeah, you could blend in anywhere.
Yeah, and it's only because he's hot, like
Yeah.
Maroon 5, like he carried that because he's like a good looking guy. Like some of those songs, I'm just like, these songs are terrible. Like he sounds like a bass being slapped. What is that? Or like a dead cat. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh man. On that note, I mean, we've been riffing for like an hour now. I try to keep these around an hour. I feel like I could talk to you forever.
Likewise.
So I mean, like obviously I'd love to have you on again. But for now, maybe
You
we
too.
should kind of like wind it down. Let me know what you're working on, what's up. Like this is your time to plug your things and let people know where to find you and follow you and maybe sell you Mormonism if they're in a cool band.
Yeah. So you can go to rainbowbrainskull.com or follow me on Instagram, Ramin Nazer. And I have a new book out called Everything I Ever Wanted. And I also have older books, so you can check those out. And I hope this episode was about something at least. I feel like it was... I mean, it would be interesting for someone to listen to this and not know any of the references. Like, you don't know OA, you don't know David Bowie, you don't know Prince, you don't know who Joe Biden is. Like, that would be funny to listen to this and just be like, what was any of that? Who's Corey Allen? Who's Michael Phillip? What? This is my first episode. What are you talking about?
Well, we give them breadcrumbs. I mean, maybe this episode will be just like an inside joke inside of an inside joke, like a Seinfeld episode or something. I don't know.
Yeah. I feel like I'm getting too comfortable on these things. And I remember like early on when I was first doing podcasts, I'm like, bring it, like bring something of value. And now I'm like, I'm ranting about how I'll become a Jehovah's Witness for 15 minutes.
Well, hey, that's the vibe here. Like Radio Amenti is really just a passion project. Like I don't have a Patreon. It's just a space to riff with people I care about. So I hope whoever's listening enjoys it.
Let's see where you're at 2021.
Yeah. We'll see.
Like I don't have an OnlyFans. Like in 2023, we all have OnlyFans.
We all do. I get it really into foot porn. Well, spells. That's what I'm gonna do. I do have very cute feet. But
right on.
On
Work
that
it.
note, until next time.
Till next time, gang.